I don't know what this siren is about, if you heard it. I'm in my place in Saint-Gilles. And I wanted to show you something, a move that I figured out for myself, for my compensations in my body, when doing a lengthening melt method move. So there is a so in the melt method, basically we use two strategies to improve fluid exchange on a cellular level in the fascial matrix. I know this sounds very complicated. It's not really, but it's basically your body has this fluid body inside. It's a matrix that weaves around all of your cells. It's like an interstitial space in between all of the cells. So it weaves around the organs, it weaves around your joints. The ligamental tissue is very much fascial tissue. It's imbued with a lot of neuroreceptors that live in a fluid matrix that's made out of collagen and bound water. So it's not exactly like water in the river, it's bound water that allows for electrical transmission. So in melting, we try to improve the texture of that bound water so that the electrical signaling between the periphery of my joints and my brain can be transparent, so that the electrical signaling can travel well, communication can function well, so that the central nervous system, which is my spine and my brain, can easily move my body, but could also easily regulate digestion, circulation, hormonal balance, my restorative responses in the body, my ability to sleep and allow the cells to restore, to poop out metabolic waste, to gain new nutrients, and to keep this organism functioning in well-being as opposed to in a compensatory or exhausted or diseased state. So it's all about adapting to stress and how much stress you can tolerate before you go into a dysregulated state where you're fighting more than you're balancing between activating and resting, activating and resting. If you're too much resting, you're collapsing. If you're too much activating, you're in a fight or flight mode. Okay, again, big introduction, but basically we use two strategies to try to encourage fluid flow. And for me to teach you that, I mean, you will have to have some lessons and start working on it. I can't do it all in a video. But two strategies. One is compression techniques, and that is what we do with the rollers and the balls, and I love it. It just feels fantastic. And somatic practice, I first started experiencing it in somatic dancing in London from 2016 onwards. And it was just the sensation of flow. But I've chatted to dancers like Ben McEwen, and like achieving that state of flow sometimes is like out of your hands. It depends on so many things. And with the melt method, it is something that you could start cultivating and reliably experiencing, because you could start improving the fascial matrix that regulates your fluid exchange and your sensation of being in flow, being balanced chemically, emotionally, tensilely in your posture and gait. Becomes a practice that is you become educated on how to do it. So it's a contribution to whatever else you're doing. You're skiing, you're taking care of your kids, you're running, I don't know what you do, whatever you do. It's not a movement practice, it's a self-care practice to support your fluid matrix in the body. So two strategies. One is compression. The other one, and in compression, you want to be as relaxed as possible so that the pressure goes towards the bone and is not affecting just the muscle. We're not working myofascially. Myo means muscle tissue. We're not trying to release muscle tension, because releasing muscle tension won't actually, it is nice to release the tension in your muscle. It's relaxing, but it doesn't change the neurological pathways in your body. We're trying to improve the texture of your fascial body, of your connective tissue, so that we improve the connectivity of your body, and your brain can do a better job of moving you and regulating all of your functions, not just joint health, but also digestion, sleep, everything. Respiration, everything. The other one is lengthening technique. Now in lengthening, we're not relaxing, we're actually using our muscles to put tension in the body in two directions. So we're lengthening, we're not stretching the muscle, we're lengthening, we're putting on tension for the purpose of then when we release it actually, so we're like kind of squeezing out the ability of the fluid to penetrate, and when we release, that fluid rushes in. So that is the idea. And of course, to practice and understand more, you would have to like commit to the work. But I want to show something, because there are videos. Sue Hitzman has a library of videos. Why you would do private sessions in the Melt method is to get to understand your personal compensations and how to apply the method to your body, especially if you have chronic pain, because the library is huge, and understanding how to create a pathway out of chronic pain or into regulating a autonomic nervous system condition. You might need someone's expertise in helping you understand where you're compensating and how to start undoing those compensations. So it's a lot more than just compressing and lengthening. It has to do with how you're using your awareness, and maybe how you start to educate yourself on functional movement and somatic practice. Anyway, so this lengthening technique, we sit on one of the rollers. Now, I have scoliosis. It's a curvature of the spine. And for everyone out there, somatic teachers especially, who tell humans, oh, you have scoliosis, don't worry about it. Like, every human being has a disbalance left and right, because, you know, your heart is more towards the left, your liver is, left, your liver is more towards your right. Well, nobody's perfectly symmetrical. Nobody's talking about perfect symmetry. Scoliosis up, so asymmetry up to 10 degrees is not scoliosis. Scoliosis is when you have asymmetry in the curvatures of your spine higher than 10 degrees. And that is a freaking thing, because I have the right to use that word, because I've heard it too much, and people who have scoliosis, especially as they age, they start to have serious issues with compression on their vagus nerve, starts to affect their mental health, their mood, their digestion, their excretionary system, their nervous system. So yeah, please don't treat your people with scoliosis with the dismissive, oh, everybody has an asymmetry. That having been said, you can be perfectly healthy with scoliosis, but you have to attend to your body. You have a compensation in your spine, and you have to learn how to work with it, so that you're not going into movements, jamming into spaces that are a little bit differently arranged in you. So learn a little bit. So anyway, there is this pose that Sue Hitzman, she doesn't actually ask you to do this pose in order to do lengthening techniques on in your shoulder girdle. She will tell you, like, you could put your feet like that, you can sit on a chair, whatever. But this pose does lengthen your spine quite nicely if you manage to get your sit bones to relate to the roller in a way that your pelvis is not in a anterior flexion too deep or posterior tucking sensation, but it's neutral. For me, what I discovered is that when I do this pose, and let's forget everything about, let's just think about, okay, can I sit, and what do I sense about my spine's ability to stand upright when I'm in this position? That's a valid experiment. You could, you're allowed to try to do a pose. And what I started to notice is my compensation is that I would curve this way, just because when I give equality to my ischia, to my pelvis, then the upper part of my spine goes into an expression of the asymmetry. And then I started noticing, and this is not a tutorial. This is just to give you an example how one person, me, deals with their own personal compensation, so that you start to understand that it's a body of research and a way of getting to know yourself and working with your body and celebrating healthy, pleasurable movement in your body, and in getting out of this frustration or accumulation of tension because you're doing practices without acknowledging your personal structure. So what I realized is that if I put under my right knee some support, then this hip can relax and let go. And then my spine has the support, the additional support for me, for my body, to find an upright posture. And now my pelvis is grounding. I'm not gripping here, because when I don't have this, I have to grip to hold myself there. And then my spine is tensing up before I even start to try to do the movement. So I just put this little thing under my right knee, gives me the support. It gives me the connection of my femur bone into my hip socket so that I can release down. And then my femur can start to, lengthen out with good joint centration, as opposed to me putting on muscles to try to keep things there and shifting my whole neurological experience, where I'm not even trying to deal with it. Because what I want to do here is I want to touch the sides of the roller, and I want to create a lengthening move from my jaw into my finger. So I'm lengthening in that direction and then slightly extending my head in the opposite direction to create a lengthening move in this myofascial chain. So, and it's very gentle. So even if I put the tension on and I feel more tension in the elbow than across the whole line, then I'm not lengthening through the myofascial line. I'm kind of like stretching this muscle. So I would go back, release the elbow, and try again. I would lengthen microscopically throughout the whole channel to as far as I can sense a bit of tension through the whole myofascial channel. So here you don't even see that my head is all the way down here, because when I do that, all the tension is here. So I've lost the lengthening in the myofascial channel, and I've made it a neck stretch. So I'm gonna go back, release the elbow, breathe in. On the breath out, I'm going to send this intention to lengthen in two directions, and it's as gentle as this at this point, and I feel this tension throughout the whole myofascial channel. And then when I release, what it does, it flushes fluid throughout this myofascial channel. It improves hydration of your tissues, and especially in this channel here from the hands, wrist, into your collarbones, neck, up into the skull. There is so much lymphatics, nerves, circulation. There is so much going on even into stabilizing your upper core so that your head is upright with all of the texting we do. And there is a lot going on. So this is a very hydrating, gentle move that will start to rebalance your upper body, reawaken the use of your upper core, so that we could start to work with regulating the neurofascial core and awakening your spine. So I merged two different practices, like a multitude of practices, but I'm using hydration to stimulate awakening of the spine and release of the lower back and the neck. So everybody comes to a practice with all of the knowledge and all of the person and all of the body that they are and all of the mind. And when you work one-on-one with someone, you really are supporting that person to integrate all that knowledge and giving them additional resources so that they could start to release the lower back. Releasing the lower back will change your freaking life. And it has nothing to do to going to a chiropractor and they cracking up your lower back, releasing it, and then in 2-3 weeks time, your gait and posture re-inviting and reaccumulating all that tension back. We live with stress, and that's normal. We need those stimulants, but we have to learn how to use ourselves without continuously going into compensation and clutching in places that will accumulate stress in our spine, in our lower back and in our neck, because these are really vital regions for our neurological well-being. And our neurological well-being will affect our digestion, our sleep, our respiration, our mental health, and our capacity to be stronger in whatever kind of sport we're doing. I hope this was helpful. And I've shared something more personal about my body. And I hope you understand that it's not intended to teach you how to do it on yourself, but just to understand that in one-on-one sessions, we're trying to understand your body with the attention and support of someone with experience on how various movements affects our spine and what we can do to support ourselves to release the tension so that we start entering into movement with more resources to achieve hydration through lengthening and compression techniques, because I teach the mount method and I love it. So once again, the mount method was designed by Sue Hitzman, and I've been training in this method for the past 3 years, but I come into it with a big practice in therapeutic yoga and somatic dancing. And I think that learning to mount takes some time. Your body has to welcome this practice, but it's like cleaning your teeth. It's a phenomenal self-care practice. So I encourage everyone, check out the link in my Instagram account. You can order yourself balls and rollers and start melting on your own with the videos that Sue Hitzman has produced. And if you want to actually learn some of the principles and start touching in with the sensations and how to read your sensations, get a few sessions with a qualified instructor, and I invite you to work with me. Send me a message. I'm really excited to help people get out of chronic pain or repetitive stress injury for dancers or high-functioning athletes. You need neurofascial support as much as the next person. Have a lovely day, and my intention for peace and nervous system regulation and more education around nervous system regulation for individuals and beyond. Thank you very much for listening.